Hello, this is Old School from WhatTheBuc.net, coming to you live from Valrico, Florida. I haven't posted on YouTube in a while since the Josh Freeman attack, thanks to all the K-State fans and the other folks out there for their opinions. Clearly, we will see how this thing shakes down as Josh continues to work with the team in the offseason. We'll see what he ends up developing into, but I do appreciate all the feedback. I want to remind you folks, if you appreciate what you hear or don't and just want to continue to hear it and come back at me, that's fine too. Make sure you subscribe. And if you want to hear the show live Thursday nights at 7 o'clock at www.whatthebuc.net, we do this for an hour and we have a live chat room, etc. But with that being said, I may be off this Thursday due to a family issue, and I want to cover a couple things. Off-season training going on here. The OTAs are going on in Tampa. And we got a couple of people that aren't here. The press is jumping all over the fact that Kellen Winslow Jr. is not there, and rightfully so. He just signed a big contract extension and has managed not to show up ever since, which is frustrating. Probably unless you're a Cleveland fan who kind of saw this coming. The guy's put up big numbers, but with the injury history and his head case situation, in my opinion, to then sign the contract and then not show up is ridiculous. He came out in the media today and said, listen, I'm moving, and the team knows about it, and that's why I'm not there. I've moved cross-country. It doesn't take that much time, and I'm not a multimillionaire. And I was still able to outsource most of that stuff and get my ass where I needed to be. So I think it's a horrible excuse. I think it sets a very bad precedent. But then again, I'm not in the locker room. Maybe his teammates don't care, and that's all that matters. I know that Warren Sapp came out in his interview and blasted him. Kellen has subsequently said that Sapp apologized. I find that hard to believe. But again, I'm not there. Man to man, maybe Sapp did apologize, but I think on the surface, this isn't something Sapp would have done, and certainly not something you do when you're trying to build the camaraderie on a team the way they are. And that camaraderie comes through. If you listen to the show a couple weeks ago with Torrey Cox, those guys are building something. And as much as I've kind of clowned Coach Morris and the front office for what I think have been elementary mistakes in a lot of ways, they are building something on this team with regards to the players. And you can see it when you look at the interviews with the quarterbacks, from Luke McCown to Byron Leftwich to Josh Johnson. The whole crew certainly has come together. Antonio Bryant, when he's coming out in the press, Ernest Graham, they are definitely looking inward and not outward, which is good, and it's something you've got to do. It's a good position to put your team in to look at it as us against the world, and that's going over very well. So, maybe all this stuff on the outside is no big deal. Sorry about that. That's incredibly weak that happened. But at the end of the day, with Kellen Winslow not being in training again, it's very, very disappointing. So we'll see what effect that has on the rest of the team. Now, Sapp also made a couple comments about the Bucs having a championship-caliber offense, which people have taken quite a bit of umbrage to. But he made an incredibly poignant's not the right word, but a powerful statement when the person in chat actually forced him into it a little bit further, right, with, how could you say they have a championship-caliber offense with a guy like Luke McCown and with Michael Clayton, right? And he named off Antonio Bryant, Kellen Winslow Jr., which I found interesting. Cadillac Williams, again, I found interesting. But Derek Ward in the backfield, that was the thing that was kind of powerful. Didn't mention Ernest Graham, but he should have. B.J. Askew was a fullback, and then he made the comment, right, can you name one of the Pittsburgh Steelers' offensive linemen? Right, it's not those names that win those games. It's the team that wins those games, and that's really the powerful point that he was bringing across. And when you look at what this offense is supposed to be under Jeff Jagodzinski, right, this is a run-first offense. This is, in my opinion, a lot of opinions, a top 10 offensive line, young, powerful, strong, moving to a zone blocking scheme, which should make them more powerful, allow them to open up more holes for a backfield that, if it stays healthy, is pretty solid with Ernest Graham and Derek Ward. And then if Cadillac Williams comes out of the injury and looks like he did coming out of a more severe injury, this is a hell of a backfield we've got, right? So run first, play action pass. Any one of the quarterbacks on our roster, and to be honest, any one of the quarterbacks on most rosters in the NFL, if they have a strong running game, can put up decent numbers. And that's why when we look back and see the Matt Ryan success, right, and the Joe Flacco success, these are teams that had strong running games. These are teams that had other things going well that allowed their young quarterbacks to do the things that they could do at this point in their development. That's not to say they're not good quarterbacks or they're not going to develop into excellent quarterbacks. Who knows? But when you have a running core that can produce positive yardage, gives you the 4 yards a down, the big clips, puts you in a position where that defense has to creep more people into the box to stop the running game, allowing you to go to play action, that makes the game a lot easier from a quarterback's perspective. And that's exactly what this offense is going to be predicated on. So when you look at that, and like I said, we've been picking on the front office for quite some time here in the offseason, but this offense from a skills perspective and a running perspective is shaping up. Now, we don't know whether that will translate on the field. We certainly hope it will. I know that with the time we spent with Davin Joseph and Jeff Fain and some of the other guys on the offensive line, I've got a lot of confidence and faith in them. So if they can get it done and guys like E. Graham and D. Ward can step up and run, then I think we've got a pretty darn good offense. The question becomes the defense. And now all of a sudden people are saying, it looks like they may have a problem at cornerback. Well, no shit. We've had a problem at cornerback since we lost our other cornerbacks. And since some of our cornerbacks are getting old as hell and have to play nickel. Right? So we definitely have a problem at quarterback. Right? We've got Aqib Talib, and we've got E. Mack, who looks pretty good, coming up last year. Young guy, unproven, has no real history, but looks like he might have some potential. But then again, Coach Morris's background and strength is in defensive backs. Right now, he's not going to be coaching that group, but he certainly has some impact and influence in that core. So I do expect to see us making some moves. Cornerback's going to be a tough spot because we've got to get a different kind of cornerback than we've had. Our system cornerbacks aren't going to work anymore because we're going to be playing more bump and run. So we're going to have to use some of that skill that these guys have with some of the draft picks we've had, and hopefully with some other pickups as camp damage occurs, and we can kind of strengthen the ranks. So the only other comment I want to make is Luke McCown continues to impress with his comments in the media. This is a guy who essentially thought he was going to get a starter shot, but apparently said, listen, Coach Morris brought me in the office and said, we're picking 19. A lot of guys have us picking a quarterback. That might happen. And the whole concept that Raheem came out with in the press conference and kind of stammered through where he said, hey, if we end up in a situation like San Diego where we got two great quarterbacks and we have to trade one, that's a good position to be in. Luke's bought into it. Byron's bought into it. They're all saying the right stuff. They all seem to be doing the right stuff. And that energy, that passion that came across from Torrey on the phone seems to be sort of spreading. So as a fan, you got to be happy about that. I have to be happy about that. So that's the update. I don't have anything else from OTAs right now. I also don't have any more information on minicamp. They've been very, very tight-lipped about that. I went over and had lunch with a couple of guys from 1010, and we're trying to get more information. I'll let you guys know that when we can. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you liked it. Drop some comments. And by the way, if you're just going to tell me that I'm fat, I got that, right? This isn't a surprise, folks. This isn't a surprise, right? But if you got comments on the Bucs and things like that, that would be awesome to get. So go ahead and put them in the comments box. Feel free to rate it. And if you do want to come over and check out the show, please do so. www.whatthebuc.net on Thursdays at 7. Thanks, and I'm out.